Hello, hello. Lunchtime Live is live. It's 12 o'clock on Tuesday. Our regular Lunchtime Live start time. Hi, Mark. I am out here by the nursery, just giving a little shot of the trail. Hi, Donna. How's the sound? Everyone. There are a lot of helicopters today. And a little bit of wind. Hi, Bob. And we are out here on the trail. Hi, Stephanie. All these people joining us. You made it. Great. Yay, we're happy. A lot of people joining us today. Must be a lot of rose lovers in our audience today. The sound is good. Awesome. Okay. Well, we are out here near the visitor center, very close, right next door to the nursery here at the Tijuana River National Estuarine Research Reserve, Tijuana Estuary for short. If you're new, this is your first Lunchtime Live. If you are a regular customer, so to speak, we really appreciate that. So I just want to show you where we are, north end of the research reserve. My name is Maria. I will show you my face in just a second, but I just wanted to let you know a little sense of place of where we are for today's Lunchtime Live. So I will flip that around. Hi everyone, my name is Maria. I'm an educational specialist and research assistant here at the Tijuana Estuary, bringing you Lunchtime Live for almost a year now. And we really appreciate you joining us until we can get back to some real bird and nature walks. I'm sure we'll keep these around because they're pretty cool. And if you've missed any of these, of course, we can go back and look at them. And if you have questions about today's topic, I always love live interaction, but also if you're watching later, the broadcast later, you can type in those comments and questions related to today's topic. And I am on the trail, just off the trail, and people are coming by, so hello. So I'll use my mask when they do that. But I want today's topic, right? Is a rose, a Baja rose, and it's just behind me. And of course, you're not going to see it from here, but I am going to get this phone off of here and share it with you. So it's Rosa minutifolia, or Baja rose, or small leaf rose. Has anyone heard of this native rose before? Last year, I did an episode highlighting some of the pink species around here, and I featured the other wild rose, but this one is not red, but it is rare. So let me see if, first off, let me bring the camera around on the tripod. We'll try this at first, so we can give you a little idea, some sense of how big a rose bush we're actually talking about. So first, the shot. Donna's heard of this. They're up in Cuyamaca as well. Well, yeah, possibly. So there are a couple of wild roses. I didn't do my homework. I've already forgotten the other wild rose, the one that's much more common and abundant, that we have quite a bit here. I've forgotten that that species. But this one is Rosa minutifolia in the Rosaceae family, a native rose, Baja rose. And I don't know if you can see those little pink flowers, a little shrubby rose bush that grows 1 to 3 feet and high and maybe equally as wide. Pretty small, dense rose bush, and found primarily in northern Baja, hence the name Baja rose. Yeah, the rose is found all over the world. So this one, the Baja rose, again, primarily northern Baja. However, it did cross the border. Its range extends just over the border. And because of that, and because a lot of habitat loss on this side of the border, this species is considered rare. In fact, it is on the endangered species, state endangered species list. So let me bring the camera closer to this species. I just wanted to give you a sense of where it is and how big it is in relation to the vegetation around it. So let me get this off. But you can see down here, it can grow fairly low. Some of the branching can happen fairly low, but it does extend up here to about 3 feet or so. So you can see that dense bush scrub with full of leaves. You see those thorns and those beautiful pink rose flowers. So was it planted here or did it grow there on its own? Thanks for these questions. So this individual was rescued, I believe, from what I've told from staff member here, was rescued off of Otay Mesa there. So this one, it's a good diagnostic feature. I've heard that wild roses always have only 5 petals. Is that a good? I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't know about the wild ones always having 5. That is a good question. I will look that up and get back to you. So there it is. It is a beautiful pink, dark pink rose. And I'm going to use my finger for scale. There we go. Rosa minutifolia. Latin, minuti, meaning small. And folium comes from the leaf. It means refers to the leaf. So small leafed. Small leaf rose or Baja rose, for its location, are the common names. And so Rosa minutifolia in the Rosaceae family with tiny little leaves. We have a macro lens that we will put on in just a minute. I just wanted to give you that overall perspective of this species. So good question. Yeah, this one, like I said, was rescued from what I've heard from staff. And that happens when an area is going to be where there's going to be construction or some sort of disturbance in habitat or some sort of project that sometimes plants, they need places to be relocated if there are people willing to do that. And in a situation of a species that barely crosses the border and then is considered rare in our state, in our country, because of proximity or it's where it resides, then there will be efforts to relocate those, and that's, I believe, what happened here. So let's take a look at this species with the macro lens. Yes, very thorny, extremely thorny. I'm going to be really careful here. Extremely thorny. Excuse me. Extremely thorny. Rosa minutifolia. Trying to get it close on those leaves, made up of tiny little leaflets. You can see the vein pattern fairly well. Okay. Look how cute that is. Yeah, pretty big thorns, especially in comparison to those leaves. Yeah. Rosa minutifolia. So cute. So that's a distinct leaf pattern and distinct leaf size. So if you come across a wild rose in another part of San Diego County where it does occur, but very rare, this look for that leaf pattern because it's very different than in size than the other wild rose. Which, if there's anyone on here that wants to share that name. It escapes me, but we did feature it about a year ago. So I'll be very careful. And you see that pink color stems and thorns, with then the newer stems and thorns red, with the older, more woody gray. Okay. Now let's look at the flower. Again, that 5 petals, dark pink. Get all those anthers on there, covered in pollen. Now this is a plant that will flower. It's a long flowering season. It can start in the late winter and through the spring. So considered a very long flowering season, which is nice. If you want some color, some native rose in your Rosa californica. Thank you, Mark. Yes, that's the one. We have quite a bit of that. Much bigger growing plant with much larger leaves, and sometimes I think a more pale pink flower from what I recall. I'm not sure if that's standard. I mean, meaning with all of them, or is there variety, but a paler pink, larger flower. So there we go, the Rosa minutifolia flower. Ooh, trying to use that steady hand. I hope this looks good to you guys, to our audience. I hope our audience can see the detail. It's a little hard for me because of the glare, and because of the glare. Now, I'm gonna get my nose up close. I'm gonna be careful though, because not strong, not a strong scent. Okay, so you'll get the beauty, you'll get those wild thorns, but the scent is faint, very faint. There we see an older flower, gone through its cycle. Now these will also get those rose hips, right? The fruiting sort of part of the plant that I believe used in teas by Kumei. Use it from those rose hips, which is a very common ingredient, or rose hip tea is very popular. And the hips from this species also used. Who's seen this one before? Anybody? May have never really looked close when you come across a wild rose. How many folks knew there were wild roses? And I'm gonna wait a minute or two. I know there is a slight lag. Yes, okay, good. All right, yeah. So these aren't just, the Home Depot variety. There are some wild roses, and but this is the very rare one. So if you do see it, you definitely want to. I don't know if you guys are, if anyone in our audience is an iNaturalist user, but this would be a really good one to submit to iNaturalist if you come across it. Okay. This does support some moth and butterfly species, as you can imagine. This, I think, something like 15 varieties, but including, sorry, I'm looking it up here. The painted tiger moth, yeah, the painted tiger moth and a variable checker spot. So, too many species to mention, but I looked it up, and there were like 15 moth and butterfly species that were very likely for this plant, Rosa minutifolia. Okay. And because of its rarity, it's being propagated by the San Diego Botanic Garden, as they do, to save some species, preserve some of these rare species. But I do believe it is something you can get some seed, and you could grow this in your yard and have a wild rose that's relatively rare and endangered. And if it's attracting pollinators, you could help bring this back into the wild, maybe in your nearby nature. All right. Let's see, Rose Canyon is named for the other wild rose in Southern California. Yeah, I actually live very close to Rose Canyon. Don't hike much in there, which I guess I should, but I also hike a lot in Tecolote Canyon, and I haven't seen the wild rose there very much. Haven't noticed it. But, all right, folks. Baja Rose, wild rose. And I'll just do one more with the macro again, in case you are at the only rose bush of this type at the estuary, to my knowledge. To my knowledge. I wish Debbie knows best. And I haven't seen her much with, the restrictions. We aren't all in the office. But as far as I know, this is the individual of the species here by the nursery. So if you are here walking along the trail, very easily accessible to see this rare species. So come see it. Come safely see it. And then look for it in your nearby or San Diego coastal sage scrub. I mean, it does well. It's a drought tolerant species. Will accept some water. I think you could overwater it. It may continue to bloom even longer with given some water. But like I said, it has a long blooming. It's considered a long blooming cycle. It's a few months. It's in the winter and spring. All right, so I see there's discussion about Rose Canyon. Okay, maybe the name of the Rose Canyon. So that's something to look up. Okay. Love to hike the estuary too. Yes, please come down, hike the estuary. It's a nice, chill, relaxing type of hiking down here. And you'll see, and again, this is the beginning of our blooming season. So we'll see, I'll try to feature some different ones. We covered a lot of plants last year, but there are a lot more down here, and we'll do our best. So, okay, there we go. Rosa minutifolia. I'll get back up on here. I hope you all enjoyed today's Lunchtime Live when we saw the rare Rosa minutifolia, Baja Rose, small leaf rose. I just love those leaves. They're so cute. And I love when a plant's botanical name is easy to say. So thank you all for joining us. I hope everyone has a wonderful Tuesday. And tomorrow, happy Cesar Chavez Day. If you get the day off, great, yay. So tomorrow I'll go check out Rose Canyon on my day off. Okay. All right, everyone, we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.